Hi, my name is Tanatswa Mhiribidi. I am 18 years old and I'm a lower 6 student at Dominican Convent High School, Harare. I am a young entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Adorned handcrafted jewelry. Besides jewelry, I also really enjoy reading, especially fiction novels. My favorite author is Sophie Kinsella. She's well known for the Shopaholic series. If you know about it, if you don't, you should definitely check that out. I also love singing. I am a bit of a vocalist. I try. I'm in the church choir, and I love hanging out with my friends, but not really like going out. I am the kind of person who just like to chill indoors, that kind of thing. Basically, that's Tanatswa in a nutshell. Adorned handcrafted jewelry, like the name says, is a handcrafted jewelry business. So basically what we do is we handcraft jewelry and we sell it. Adorned started in 2017 when I was 15 years old. I have always been a fan of fashion and jewelry, so I always used to love playing around with beads and the like. So there was a time when there was this entrepreneurship conference thing going on at church, and our teens pastor was encouraging us to venture into business whilst we're still young people. So I wanted to do something that I was passionate about, something that I loved. So I decided, why not venture into jewelry? And then my mother was very supportive. When I told her I wanted to venture into jewelry, she's the one who then linked me up with a place where I could get beads and supplies for jewelry, and that's how I started. Did I go to school? Well, no. I can say my journey in jewelry has been more about passion, really. When I started, it was just a hobby, things that I loved to do. But then when you then venture into business, you have to continue upskilling. So obviously I had to learn new beading techniques, new jewelry finishing skills. So I've really been using YouTube as a source of knowledge. There's free content on jewelry making that you can get there. So I didn't actually go to school for it, but it's just something I do because I love it. So after discovering my passion in jewelry, I decided to actually monetize this passion of mine. I linked together what I had learned about being able to be independent and being an entrepreneur as a young person in church and my passion, and decided what better way to make money than my passion, which is jewelry. So that's when I started Adorned handcrafted jewelry as a business that actually generated income. Obviously, being a young entrepreneur, when I started, I faced a lot of challenges. For starters, the whole aspect of being young and in the jewelry industry was a challenge for me, because I really had to prove myself to people and show them that my products are actually good quality, so that people could actually trust me with their fashion. It was a challenge. And I also faced some confidence challenges at first, because it was hard for me to actually go out and tell older people than me that this is what I'm doing and I'd like you to support me in my venture. I was just shy, but I had a lot of support from my family. I had support from my mother. She would take my jewelry and advertise it at her workplace, sell it to her friends, and as that went on, I actually began to grow. People began to know more about me. I also used WhatsApp at first. I would post the items on my status, and people who were interested would actually inbox me and ask me about the things. So in all these challenges that I was facing, there's one thing that really kept me going through it all. There's actually a funny story. This bracelet, it's called the Believe bracelet. When I first bought my jewelry stock, this was the first bracelet I made, and I made it for myself, not for selling. It's called the Believe bracelet because it always reminds me to believe in myself in whatever I'm doing. So I actually used to wear this bracelet every time, and it would always remind me when I looked at it to believe in myself. And then moving on, there was a time when things just really went down. I wasn't making any sales and my business actually went downhill, and I was about to give up. Actually, I did give up for some time, but then in 2020 I made it into Star Leadership Academy. That's a leadership academy that's in partnership with Higher Life Foundation. And at Star Leadership Academy, I got to learn a lot about entrepreneurship. I got to learn a lot about leadership. And the things I learned at Star, I managed to implement in my business, and I actually managed to revive it and bring it from the dead. So after Star, that's when I started again, going back to jewelry. And from then on, things have actually been running well because we learned how to do invest, how to do a business plan, how to manage your finances, and I've been using all of that knowledge in my business, and that has really helped me a lot. Another thing that I benefited from Star Leadership Academy was a strong network of like-minded individuals. I remember early this year, there are friends of mine who went to learn in South Africa at Africa Leadership Academy. So Africa Leadership Academy was hosting a festival called the South African Ideas Festival, and basically this is an entrepreneurship competition for young people. So this friend of mine was like, Tanatswa, you should definitely register for this thing, you should participate in this festival. And then I applied and I got in, and we learned a lot. It was a very invaluable learning experience on entrepreneurship. I learned a lot of skills that I am actually implementing in my business as well. So one thing about entrepreneurship is being able to network and having the right people around you, people who inspire you, people who love to see you grow, people who feed you as you feed them as well. Another thing that I benefited from Star Leadership Academy was a strong network of like-minded individuals. I remember early this year, there are friends of mine who went to learn in South Africa. We were part of the Star Leadership Academy class of 2020 together. So this one friend of mine who's there learned about the South African Ideas Festival that was being hosted by his school. So basically, South African Ideas Festival is an entrepreneurship competition that is held for young entrepreneurs annually in South Africa. So he called me and he was like, you should definitely participate in this thing, because he knew that I was into handcrafted jewelry, right? So I applied and I got accepted into the competition. So we participated and I became a finalist in the competition. And I managed to learn a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge on business that I'm actually utilizing in my business right now. So how do I market my stuff? Well, now because of social media, marketing has become a lot easier, because the world is now just a global village, because you can interact with anyone from anywhere. I have social media platforms that I use. I'm on Instagram as Gems Adorned, all small letters with an underscore, and I also have a Facebook page called Gems Adorned Handcrafted Jewellery. So basically what I do is I post my work on those social media platforms. I use WhatsApp statuses as well. So I post my things there. And another method of marketing that I use is word of mouth. These days, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be confident. You cannot be shy when you're an entrepreneur. You have to know what you're about, and you have to not be afraid to say it out. So when I meet people, I actually tell them what I'm about. I'm a jewelry handcrafter. And as I do that, the word spreads. Also, another thing is the network that I have. I have friends who are very supportive, friends who also spread the word about what I do. And recently, I started a new way of actually selling my products. We started Gems Adorned Agency, if we may call it that way. I have agents in different spheres of contact. So I have friends who stay in Highlands, I have friends who stay in Hatfield, I have friends who stay in Chinhoyi. So what I do basically is I make the stock, right? And as I make the stock, I give the stock to my different friends who are wherever they are, right? Then they sell it, and when they sell it at a markup price. So we're both making money. The markup is theirs and the initial asking price is mine. So by so doing, I actually also bridging the gap between the employed and the unemployed. How I balance school and business. Obviously, it's challenging being a student and being in business at the same time, because entrepreneurship is very demanding. So what I do is I'm a planner. I plan my stuff to the dot. I plan my days, I plan my study times, and I plan the days when I work on my jewelry. I write my orders in advance. Well, we have WhatsApp Business now, and WhatsApp Business is so easy for managing your orders because you can just put labels on them. So basically, the key is being able to plan and being able to execute, because you can't just plan things and then not actually do according to what's written on your plan. And another key thing about planning that I do is I actually manually write down my plans. So I'm a person who loves to journal. I keep a journal all the time. So I journal my days and actually plan everything that I'm going to do. So that way I manage to get things done and nothing lags behind. Where I see my business 5 years from now. In 5 years' time, I'm anticipating a lot of growth in my business. I'm looking into actually starting to supply shops and boutiques with my jewelry items. So in 5 years' time, I'm looking at being a national sensation in the handcrafted jewelry industry. My short-term goals. Well, first of all, I'd like to actually start employing fellow young people to actually become jewelry handcrafters, because in the long run I'm looking at actually starting to supply shops, boutiques, gift stores. So for that to happen, I'd need to employ other people. So short-term goals: employing young people, teaching them how to handcraft jewelry and actually starting to work with them. And then long-term goals: becoming a national sensation and supplying all those big shops and gift shops with our jewelry. I actually have two people who inspire me in the jewelry industry. First of all, there is Gabrielle Jordan Williams. She started her jewelry business when she was only 9 years old. So before I started, I actually did a lot of research on Gabrielle Jordan, and I actually reached out to her on Instagram, and she was my mentor for some time. She was walking me through the beading techniques and stuff like that. And she actually got to review some of my first work. And then my other inspiration is Kendra Scott. But Kendra Scott is someone I admire from a distance. She's just someone I follow a lot on social media. Yeah. I actually have two people who inspire me in the jewelry industry. First, there is Gabrielle Jordan Williams. The thing that inspires me about Gabrielle Jordan Williams is that she started her own handcrafted jewelry business when she was only 9 years old, and that's something that just blows my mind. And then the second person is Kendra Scott of Kendra Scott, the jewelry company. The thing that inspires me about her is she started off as a jewelry handcrafter just like me, and she went out and showed people her work, and now she's big. She's a billionaire in the jewelry industry. And then personally, I'm intrinsically motivated by where I'm coming from. I am a person who loves to achieve. I always want to see a better tomorrow for myself. So it always motivates me to keep working hard. My goals, what I want, my vision, just constantly motivates me to keep pushing forward and to keep working hard. And another thing is that being a girl, I know it's very important to be financially independent as a girl child, because if you're not, then you're going to face a lot of challenges. So that's another thing that inspires and motivates me. And the situation in Africa, you know, there's high levels of unemployment in Africa, and I really want to help bridge that gap and create employment for other young people in Africa, because young people are so demotivated currently. They're saying even if we go to school, there are no jobs, there's nothing to do. But I want to help them and create employment for them as well. Well, there was a time when there were a lot of travel restrictions and I was getting orders. But the problem was that I couldn't actually get into town and get the materials that I needed in order to make the orders that I had. So one way I managed to overcome this challenge was by liaising with people who actually had access to town, access to travel, right? And I managed to ask some of these people to actually get the raw materials for me so that I could make the orders and deliver them to my customers. This then takes me back to the principles of entrepreneurship. Networking. You have to be able to build networks, and for you to be an effective networker, you need to be able to build good relationships with the people you come across. And another thing is you have to be an effective communicator. So you have to be able to communicate and relate with the people you come across. There's some advice that I'd like to give to young people out there who are looking into starting their entrepreneurship ventures, or people who have already started but are feeling discouraged. No matter how tough it gets, you have to keep on pushing forward, because entrepreneurship is not an easy road. Like, for example, I already said I started facing challenges in COVID-19. If I had been weak, I would have just given up and said, oh well, there's nothing I can do about this. But I had to actually look at the people in my network and actually see how I could actually work with them in order to keep my business running. So you have to be strong, you have to be tenacious, you have to be focused on your goals, and you should let nothing deter you from those goals that you have. So another thing is, as a young person, This is the time that you should not be afraid to be making mistakes. Whatever you think about, just go for it. There's a lot of support that's available for young people. A lot of people want to see young people thriving. So this is the time to actually start doing things. This is the time to start establishing yourself. It's not just the time to have fun. This is when you actually lay the foundation for your life. So to all those who are looking into starting entrepreneurship ventures, just go for it. Don't let anything stop you. And to the girl child out there, I'd really like to encourage you to work towards becoming independent. In as much as there are many organizations that are fostering for women empowerment and girl child emancipation, if you don't do the work for yourself, no one is going to lift you from the level that you are. You have to take the initiative by yourself. You have to change your life, because there's no one that's going to do it for you. So make sure you're using your hands. I know as ladies we have lots of skills that we have. Some can make jewelry like me, some can do makeup, some can do hair, some can bake, some can cook. There are lots of things that we can use in order to start entrepreneurship ventures. So as a girl child, just make it a point that you have something that you are doing. You have a source of income that you have for yourself. Make sure you're not depending on anyone. Because if you live your life depending on someone, what if one day that person is not going to be around? I know sometimes as ladies we have this idea of being taken care of, just wanting to be taken care of. But I am encouraging you and challenging you today that you should be the one to take care of yourself. So start something, start making an income for yourself, lay a foundation for your life. As a closing statement, I'd like to give you my favorite quote. It says, "You attract not what you want, but who you are." So with this quote, I'd just like to encourage people out there. I know all of us want success. We want to be associated with big people. But you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So therefore, you should work on becoming what you want so that you may be able to attract it. So let's keep working hard. Let's venture into entrepreneurship. Let's bridge this gap between the employed and the unemployed in Africa. Thank you.